Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here, welcome. My name is Braden Timmons, and today we are talking about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 from 2009. Guys, we only have 3 weeks left in this Halloween journey, and then we are officially going to be talking about Halloween Ends. My first impression thoughts on Halloween Ends in just a few short weeks. I cannot freaking wait, man. I feel like that it has been a long time coming, and I'm very excited to wrap up this series, man. Like, literally, this is it. This is the last week that we're talking about movies that are outside of the current trilogy. We start next week with Halloween 2018. So I'm very excited that we're now leading into the new trilogy. If you guys are new here and you guys are just now finding this channel with this review, consider clicking that subscribe button and go on back and check out my thoughts on the entire franchise leading up to Halloween Ends. I've had so much fun talking about each of these movies, and would love your guys' insight on the franchise as well. So if you guys are new here, consider clicking that subscribe button, especially if you guys like horror, slashers, monsters, all that kind of good stuff in between that relates to the horror genre. This is definitely the channel for you, so consider clicking that subscribe button. But let's talk about Halloween 2. So I do want to say that this week I am also going very much like last week to be just discussing the theatrical cut. I did recently buy on Amazon. I bought this Blu-ray combo pack. It's Halloween 2007 and Halloween 2 2009. You guys can actually buy it on Amazon. I do see a lot of people actually asking where you can purchase a theatrical cut, especially because the Blu-ray box sets or the box sets of the Halloween franchise mostly come with the director's cut. I don't know why he does that. I don't know why they do that, why they just include the director's cut but they don't include the theatrical cut with it. You'd think that they would, but they don't. So it's honestly pretty rare to find this. So you guys find it on Amazon. You guys can go on, search Rob Zombie's Halloween. You guys should be able to grab the Blu-ray. So picking up where the 2007 film ended, the film jumps forward 1 year, and if you are watching the director's cut, 2 years, and Halloween 2 follows Laurie Strode as she deals with the aftermath of the previous film's events. Dr. Loomis, who is trying to capitalize on the events of publishing a new book that chronicles everything that happened, and Michael Myers as he continues his search for Laurie so that he can reunite with his sister. And that's what's going on in Halloween 2. So I don't think I need to really say that this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. This film has been out for a long time, so if you guys haven't seen it, then I highly encourage you guys to go and watch it and then come back to this review. I've been talking pretty much spoilers for every single one of these movies. And what can I say about Halloween 2? Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Well, I will say that I saw this movie in the theater. This was the second Halloween film I had a chance to experience on the big screen, and I was in 8th grade when this movie came out, and I left the theater not really knowing what to think about it. And this wasn't one of those movies where I watched really a whole lot even after I got it on DVD. It came out right around my birthday on DVD. It was one of my gifts for my birthday that I got. I watched it a couple times, but it's not one of those that I was just like dying to go back to watch over and over and over. And I've watched it, I could literally probably count on 2 hands how many times I've actually seen this film. It's not one of them that I really go back and watch a whole lot. When it comes down to it, there's only a very little that I like in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Now, if you guys saw my review last week with Rob Zombie's Halloween, you guys know that I really enjoyed that movie. I actually thought that he brought a breath of fresh air to the franchise. He actually explored Michael Myers' childhood. He went further into the character than a lot of people really liked, but he did something new and unique. And here, you could tell that he definitely did a lot of new things. He focused very heavy on psychology, and there are a lot of aspects of the script that is actually really good with exploring how someone is descending into madness, specifically Laurie Strode. But before I talk about what I'm not really a big fan of, I do want to talk about what I like about this movie. The first thing that I can say about this film is that it is a really damn good looking movie. Rob Zombie knows how to direct a film. I do think that if he would just drop his ego with having to write and direct his scripts and maybe get a hold of somebody else's script and have him direct, I do feel like that he has something that is just that could be fucking really, really awesome, and it can really go down. And I did say this last week in my Halloween review as well, that I think that if he just directed other people's scripts that he would do very well, in my opinion. He does kind of have he has a hard time balancing dialogue with really, really great stuff. But other than the direction, I really got to say the first 20 minutes of this movie is honestly absolutely awesome. I love the fact that it picks up right where Halloween 2007 left off. We see Laurie Strode walking through the shady, foggy streets of Haddonfield on Halloween night. We see the aftermath of what she just fucking went through. She is beat up. She is bloody. Sheriff Brackett freaking finds her and literally he doesn't even know how to react to her. It's absolutely great cinematography. It's great acting by Dorff, Compton, everybody within the first 20 minutes of the movie. Hats off, absolutely great. And I do want to address one thing. There's a lot of people that think that the entire opening of this film is one elongated dream sequence, when that's actually not the case. Everything from where Laurie is walking all the way through her surgery until she wakes up in the hospital bed, after the surgery, because Michael Myers is getting picked up by the police. Michael Myers is currently being transported. There are paramedics at the house that they were just at. There's a whole lot of stuff going on. And then when Laurie does wake up post-surgery, that's when that entire dream sequence begins and Michael Myers invades Haddonfield General Hospital. And I don't care if that's a dream sequence. I think that shit is badass, dude. Tyler Mane as Michael Myers once again is great. I think that the way that he portrays Michael Myers, you can tell that, again, he's trying very much to just try to be the character in and of himself. You know what I mean? He's not trying to emulate Nick Castle. This time around, it's he is exactly what he was in Halloween 2007. Just this time he looks like a bum, really. He's got the long beard. The design of Michael Myers is very interesting, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I will say the first 20 minutes of this movie, the Haddonfield General stuff, absolutely love. It made me feel like Zombie just understood, you know what I mean? There was some really great callbacks, with Michael Myers coming around the stairwell, seeing Laurie, the chase sequence. There were just scenes in the beginning where I'm like, Zombie, you're doing so good, you understand. And then the movie takes a completely different direction. It turns into its own psychological study of where Laurie Strode is and really how Laurie Strode descends into madness. And Laurie, I will say, I watched the theatrical cut tonight. Laurie is a lot more likable in the theatrical cut than she is in the director's cut. In the director's cut, she is very, very fucking hard to listen to. She just is a bitch. It's almost like you want to see her die. You just want to see her get captured and have Michael Myers kill her. But in the theatrical cut, she's actually more likable. She's actually, and that also, I pay attention to that, the cuts, when characters in the director's cut are getting ready to act like assholes, it cuts in the theatrical cut. I've noticed that because there's the scene in the very beginning when Annie and her are sitting down for breakfast after Sheriff Brackett leaves the house, and then Annie says the line, she's like, you got to take it one day at a time. And Laurie's like, one day at a time. And then it cuts. In the director's cut, she's like, one day at a time. One fucking day at a time. And she just starts freaking out and going on this super long tangent. It causes a fight between her and Annie. And I do think that the theatrical cut of Laurie is more likable. But again, this is Laurie Strode's descent into madness. She has these freakouts. She has almost this psychological connection, which is something that we've seen before with Jamie Lloyd and Michael Myers in Halloween 5. There was the telekinetic connection that they had in the very beginning, and this film kind of explores that a little bit more, showing that Michael Myers is close to her, so she's getting sick, especially when they're eating in that exact same scene. There's the cut to Michael Myers eating the dog, and then there's the cut to Laurie eating the pizza, but yet she goes to throw up because she's imagining her brother eating the dog. Let's talk about Malcolm McDowell back as Dr. Loomis. I really could not stand Loomis's character in Halloween 2. I really couldn't. Him just trying to capitalize on everything that occurred in the first film. It just seemed very wrong, and it is wrong, right? I mean, we do get that really great scene with Linda's dad at the bookstore. He calls him a pig, and he freaks out because he's profiting off of the lives of everyone that literally got killed a year earlier. And I mean, it's just not the right thing to do. And I understand that, you know, he is somebody that is trying to write and explain who Michael Myers is and really showcase the world what kind of monster Michael Myers is. But I feel like there's a fine line between doing that maybe years down the line than doing that like a year into the future. But it's not even just that. It's just that his personality is just, it's unbearable, man. Like, he is just such a whiny baby over everything, especially after he sees the trench coat. He sees like the tan trench coat instead of the black one that he's wearing. He's like, this is old Loomis. This is new. Like, he's just fucking freaking out over nothing, over something as simple as a coat, and his character just isn't really likable throughout this entire film. I really do think that in Halloween 2007, Malcolm McDowell was doing a good job at bringing an update to the character. In Halloween 2, not so much. And I just think that the script really needed a whole lot of work. I do know that Rob Zombie has had an unbearable experience working on these 2 Halloween films. Actually, he did get asked to come back for a 3rd one, and he declined because of just how horrendous of an experience that he had with Halloween and Halloween 2. I mean, the Weinsteins, obviously you guys know now about the Weinsteins and just how awful they were to their writers and directors and their clients and everything. There was a whole lot of shit that came out about them, and I mean, it really came down to the Weinsteins when they were visiting the sets of Halloween 2 and Rob Zombie was deciding to make certain decisions. They actually pulled up footage from Halloween 2007 and said this is how it was supposed to be. And that's ridiculous. It's like, why the fuck do executives want to hire writers and directors if they're not going to trust what it is that they're doing? And that causes a lot of, butting heads during productions. And, Malik Akkad was on Rob Zombie's side. He told him to make a movie that maybe shied away from what people would expect. And, this is all stuff that I was reading up on, and I actually do agree to that. You got to make the movie that you want to make as a filmmaker, because, not everyone's going to like it. And I don't love this movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I appreciate Rob Zombie for trying to branch off and bring something new and bring a new lore to the character. And there's also like the fucking white goat or the white horse, and his wife is in the movie again, because his wife is in every fucking movie. They had to figure out a way to bring her back in for her to get a paycheck also. And the script just kind of gets very messy, and a lot of the kills, they just seem outrageous. And I'm all for good kills, man. I really, really am. But a lot of these just seem very mean-spirited, and they just seem just kind of out there for this movie. And that's just my opinion, man. And again, I love me some carnage. I love me some brutal kills, but here it just kind of, it doesn't feel earned. I feel like it's just kind of like there. And I'm definitely not going to forget to talk about the scene with Sheriff Brackett finding Annie. Holy shit. Talk about a performance, man. That is easily one of the best elements about this movie, is when Annie dies. It's a very, very heartbreaking scene when it comes down to Sheriff Brackett finding his daughter, who survived a year earlier, and literally a year later gets killed and pretty much butchered again, very much like she did. Like, she was very bloody in Halloween 2007, but she literally is on the ground. She is so bloody, and he finds his baby girl like this. It is absolutely a very hard scene to watch. Brad Dourif knocks it out of the park in this scene, and honestly, I feel like gives his best performance that he's ever given in a movie. And he does give a really great performance in a lot of the stuff that he is in. I mean, Brad Dourif is awesome and has done a great amount for the horror genre, especially with voicing Chucky and everything. And he just owns this entire scene. It's one of the most memorable scenes in the movie. Honestly, one of the most memorable scenes of the franchise. this movie also does have quite a few memorable scenes of Michael Myers, like, you know, in the beginning at Haddonfield General, the shots of Michael Myers in the rain, and when he walks up to the axe and just fucking puts his hand through the glass and grabs it. There's some really good shit. I just think that the script here is very, very messy, and I just think that there's parts of this movie that do work, and then there are just other sub parts of the movie that just really don't work. Like, I didn't give a shit about the whole white horse thing. Sure, Michael's coming after Laurie. I didn't need to see anything with, you know, them going to be with family, this, that, whatever. I just didn't give a shit about any of that of this movie. So, you know, I'm not a fan of Halloween 2, unfortunately. I know that I say that there are some really, really awesome stuff in this movie, and there is. I just really do think that Rob Zombie needs to direct other people's scripts, and I do feel like that he will have one of the best horror or just films ever made, because the dude has some talent. He knows exactly what he wants. He understands the concepts of what he's going for, and I just think that he's a talented filmmaker. But this movie, it just doesn't do it for me, and I wanted to be respectful in this review. I didn't just want to come in and just trash on it because, you know, just to trash on it. I wanted to come in and I wanted to tell you guys what I liked and just what I really didn't like about this movie. I also didn't really like the look of Michael Myers in this movie. I think that the hippie look and how you can really, really see his face for a good majority of this movie, I'm not really a big fan of. I did think that in the first one, I liked the idea of Michael Myers covering his face with masks, like the fact that he called himself ugly and like there was a reason that he wanted to cover his face. I did like all of that. Here, it's just more like he just looks like a hippie. He looks just, he just looks weird, you know, even though he does look big and menacing, and yeah, the mask looks really good in most scenes when it is the full mask. I just think that overall, Michael Myers, I don't like the idea of you being able to see his face or anything like that. But I will say that watching the theatrical cut of the movie tonight, I did like it more than I remember. And guys, this was the first time I've seen the theatrical cut, literally, I believe, since the theater. So it was kind of a breath of fresh air to be like, oh, okay, there's not all of that cringe dialogue that is bombarded in the director's cut. And honestly, maybe that's why I fucking hated it so much, because of just all of the dialogue that is just packed into the director's cut that just makes Laurie so unlikable. Like, she's freaking out on everybody, and I understand that they're going for a descent into madness, but I mean, you gotta at least make the character likable and give her some good dialogue, you know. And I get it that she's gone through a traumatic experience, and I get it that it's been a year later, and I get it that Michael Myers' body was never found, but I just think that the way that the character presented herself, especially in the director's cut, that is sold on most of the collections, I just think that that's probably what does it for a lot of people. So, you know, at the end of the day, guys, the movie's just not for me. I can't see myself going back and watching this movie over and over and over again. And to those of you that do, hey, hats off. I'm glad that you guys really enjoy it. Just not my style for a Halloween movie. So with all that being said, I don't think it's the worst Halloween movie. I don't think it's the best Halloween movie, but it's also not super, super high on my list. I just do think that this is one of those installments that that is just very divisive amongst fans. There are some fans that really, really like it, and there are some fans that just hate the direction that Rob Zombie ended up taking with his original idea and having the family all come together for a reunion. And yeah, guys. And for me, guys, this movie is just an ultimate nightmare. I'm going to give it a D. With all that being said, post comments down below. Let me know, what do you guys think of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2? Do you guys love it? Do you guys hate it? Do you guys kind of find it somewhere in the middle? Whatever your guys' thoughts are, comment below. Let me know. And as always, if you guys like this, don't forget to join me on my journey to 10,000 subscribers, and I will see you guys in my next video.